Welcome to Find, Tell, Share, the Storytellers podcast. I'm Chris Sissons and my business is Market Together. I'm a local marketing coach who specializes in using stories for marketing and business development. Today's podcast is a special edition where we shall explore collaboration in the creative process. We'll be looking at how a music video collaboration between a singer-songwriter and a filmmaker worked. The singer-songwriter is my co-host.
Hi, my name is Jemma Rosenthal and my business is Creative Hearts, and I help you to find your voice and live your most creative life. As Chris says, I'm also a singer-songwriter and I also do acting and dance as well. In December last year, I published my first proper music video. I mean, I'd done music videos before, but with a filmmaker. This was the first time I reached out to somebody to actually help with a music video. And it wouldn't have been possible without my collaboration with Paul. So this is our guest today, Paul Stinson of Hovaloft. In the simplest terms, Paul makes videos and he does it because he loves it. In broader terms, he uses drones and handheld video to create a complete package. He started because he loved film, and if he didn't get paid for it, he'd still do it because he needs it. A video is like a storytelling problem. You create a story and paint moving images into a story, and it's great fun. So, Paul, welcome today as our guest.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it is great fun. I want to do it now. But I'll talk to you, I don't mind.
Well, you're always making videos, aren't you? So just explain a little bit about you're making how you make videos and just a little introduction.
To be honest, initially when I first when I first started out in the working world, I was doing engineering, and then I was doing electronics, and I was doing all sorts of really quite boring things, I have to say. And if you do those college courses to do those sort of things, all the engineering stuff, it's all maths and it's all quite tedious and boring. But I could do it, so I got a job doing that, and then I got a job being a PR manager for a drugs company up in the northeast. But then I got someone in to do some video for me, and then that was it, because I'd always loved film. I mean, who doesn't? Crikey, I used to watch films with my dad like years and years ago from being tiny. So I've watched films forever, and just after watching people making videos and then using drones to film this manufacturing site I was on, it just like, I thought, that's it. I want to get made redundant now, so I've got enough money to start doing this for real, because it's just excellent. And that's what I did. Fortunately, I got made redundant kind of, what was that, 2017. And then I set up my business buying my first drone, which I've still got, actually, I still use. And then onward from that, I've got a further 6 drones. I've got my handheld camera. I've got another handheld camera. And I just love it. I love just making those things, just creating something, from a story in your mind. I mean, during lockdown, it was very quiet because I didn't have a lot of work on. Not many people did. So I had little Dungeons and Dragons led figures out in the garden, and I was making stories with those, with my little cameras and everything. Oh, if you look on my YouTube, you'll probably find that video. But it was good fun, and it's all of it is practice, and all of it makes you better at what you do anyway. So yeah, I love it, and that's it. I just love it. So, did that come across?
Yeah, I mean, the word fun has been used a lot, so that's great, as long as you're having fun.
So Jemma, let's dive into talking about the Afraid to Love video. Can you tell us a little bit about...
Love.
Afraid of love.
Oh, right, afraid of, yes. Prepositions always catch you out. Yes, first question. Could you tell us a bit about Afraid of Love and the song and just and what it's about to begin with?
Yeah. So Afraid of Love is the song that me and Paul have done the video for. And so I wrote the song, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago it was now, maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago. I can't remember exact dates. But I'd sat at the piano. I think I was at home when I wrote it. And I just found these 2 chords. Da, 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 da. Sounds better on the piano, obviously, than me just singing them. But and I thought, how simple is that? It just was simple chords, and then I just started to write the song. Just kind of flowed out, as artists often say about songwriting, when it's one of them that just drops from the sky. But it did explain how I was feeling at the time. I didn't really feel I had a voice in certain situations, especially in my music. I felt like when I did have a voice that I was criticized. So then that the lyric in that, how do I open up if every note is not enough? Even when I try to open up, it's shut down. And then there was a situation with one person that I was working with, and it could have turned into something romantic, but it didn't really. But also I felt a bit criticized by them as well. But then in the sense, I think, I don't know. I those words just came to me where it was like, I think you're afraid of love. And I was thinking, huh? What's this about? And I realised maybe I could be wrong here. I could be completely wrong. But I thought maybe the sort of critical element was to sort of try to push away any feelings or any sort of creativity that we could have had. And I think sometimes people do that, where I suppose it's a bit school. It's a bit like school kids sometimes. They poke people if they like them or something. I don't know if that's correct, but that's just what the lyrics are about anyway.
It was
Okay.
definitely a
And
personal song, wasn't it, though, for you? I
yeah,
remember you talking through it to me, and yeah, and it also had links with Christmas a little bit as well, did it not? Because we were bringing it out at
yeah,
Christmas time.
yeah. Well, the song itself doesn't have links with Christmas, but we added. So when I was in the studio, so that was like the writing process, but then the studio process was a few
What
years later.
when you say the studio process, you mean when you
I mean, of
record
the song, recording the song,
recording the
yeah.
song? Yeah.
So there's obviously sort of 3 parts to the journey, in the sense of there's the writing the song, there's the recording the song, and then there's recording the video.
Right.
So now we're on to the second part of recording the song, which I did at Tesla Studios, with a guy called David Glover, and we added some sounds to it very, very simply, because we didn't want to add too much to it, because we knew it had to be a simple song. But because it was around Christmas, there was a sort of a Christmassy feel to some of the sounds that we had, and Paul picked up on that. And then when we were doing the video, it kind of has that Christmassy feel, because
Well, I
we
saw that there's a Christmas
had it
tree.
out
If you
in.
look, you'll see a Christmas
Yep,
tree.
there is a Christmas
Yes.
tree. Yeah, so we brought it out. Wanted to make sure it was out in December, and we got it done.
And you
So
got it
well
done.
done, Paul, because we got
So
it done.
what I'd like you to do, Gemma, is to think back now to before you spoke to Paul for the first time. And did you have a sort of idea in your head as to how the video might go and what the images might be?
Yeah, well, I'd been visualizing the video for about 3 years as well, or something like that. Just now and again, I kind of, well, I've got a lot of songs that I want to do videos for, and I was thinking, well, what one would be the first video that I do, with someone professionally recording it. And Afraid of Love was the one that kept coming to me, because it's so simple. And then the dance part of it, because I'm a dancer myself, I thought it would be nice to incorporate that movement into it to give it a different dimension, a different element. So that was my vision for it, to keep it really simple, but at the same time to have those elements and layers to it, with the piano, with the dancing, with the nature. So really that's the 3 layers, I think, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah.
Am I right there? Yeah.
So,
So
right. So, 2 quick related questions. One is, um, in a positive, surprising way, where does the video depart most from your original vision?
well, we had horses.
Yeah, we didn't
Okay,
expect
I'm sure
horses.
we'll come back to the horses later on. And the other side of that is, where do you feel that the video is closest to your vision?
I think just in the general feel of it, it's quite close to what I originally visioned. Yeah, I don't think there's much where I was thinking, no, that's not what I vision. I mean, it kind of brought it to life. It gave it form, because sometimes when I'm visualizing something, it's sort of perhaps not as clear as it's clear, the feeling. I visualize with feet. It's quite hard to describe, but so I don't know how you'd get in my head to actually see what I see, but often it will just be a sort of bunch of movement with different, maybe a river and then a dancer. It's very, I guess, conceptual, whereas Paul will obviously deal with it in a sort of practical way of, right, this is the shot, this is how you do. Well, Paul can explain more
Yeah.
about that.
Well, let's move on to Paul then. And Paul, before, if you two could think back to before Gemma approached you, I know you've done at least one horror video, and I've
Yeah.
seen that, and I think I've recovered from it. Uh, the, but you've done a lot of what you might call non-fiction videos of
Yeah.
drones
For
flying over things.
for
But
businesses and things like that, yeah, you don't need
yeah,
dancers necessarily, or singers, or anything
yeah.
creative. Well, that's still
So,
not the
so,
right word.
had you done much sort of creative storytelling
Well,
type
I
videos?
have, yeah. I used to be in a band,
Hmm.
and so as part of my messing about and practicing and things like that, for just like during lockdown and whenever else, I um I would make videos, and then I would use the videos I'd make, or I'd have a quite often I'd be awake in early in the morning, about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd be thinking, oh, what am I going to do today with my cameras? And then I'll think about one of the songs we did, like in 1991 or something, and then I'll think of the story of that song, and then I'll put a little video to it. Think about how I can make that look cool. I mean, like, there's one song I did, and part of it I did with sign language, which I've completely forgotten now. Just 3 or 4 of the words that's repeated in the chorus I did with sign language as part of it. Then another bit of it I did as my process of getting up on the morning. There's no actual shots of me personally, but there was shots of my socks going on my feet, and then in the shower. Not me in the shower, I have to say. It was just the shower, the water coming down on the camera, that sort of thing, and it was just all of those things I put together because it kind of told the story of someone's life getting up, doing something, or well, not doing anything actually, because that's what the song was. It was having a quite a tedious time of it and not having a good life really. That's what that was about, that song. And so it was just a very mundane getting up, doing this, doing that, going out, going to work, coming home and sitting down and watching the telly, and that's it. So I have done things like that, and I did another one for Howarth. Do you know Howarth,
Oh
who
yes.
does? Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I did him a music video as well for himself. He plays guitar and sings, so I did him a short music video. I was mainly just with drones.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'd done little bits, but when someone like Gemma came to me and said, "Can you do this?" I thought, "Yes, I will do it, and I'll do it. I'll give you a good price for it as well, because I want to do it. Because it's good fun. When you get those little when you get the chance to be creative and then to think, how can I portray that? You know, Jemma playing on a grand piano, for instance, how can that look good? Well, it does look good because it's a beautiful piano, isn't it? And you look
Yeah,
gorgeous
the
yourself.
piano's beautiful. Yeah.
But then I love that shot of you where I've got you from the end of the piano, the shot of you from the end of the piano, and you just mirrored on the piano, and
Yeah,
it just looks
it's
lovely.
gorgeous.
I like to look back at that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know what you mean by that question. It's like, how can you make it look as good as possible
Yeah,
where in terms of shot wise? And I think, yeah, that's why I I'm so interested in how it works from the camera's point of view and from your perspective in
yeah,
terms of that making it look good. Because I can have a vision, but then
mm.
you could create something even better from just different, from the camera's
Well, I
point of
try.
view of how it
Yeah,
works.
I think that's
yeah,
one of the things that interests me about this, and I think this is really a question for Paul, because obviously Gemma was your client and therefore in
mm.
charge.
Yep.
You know, the crucial thing was for Gemma to be pleased with the video. So, did you feel constrained in what you could contribute creatively, or did you find that
No,
it worked? You know,
no,
how did your creativity find its expression?
it's nice to have those that someone's idea as a frame, so that then you've got the whole frame there, and then you can put things in that picture that you think look good. And we changed it on the day, didn't we, because of the horses. We changed things while we were filming because of the environment around us, and we had such beautiful weather that day, didn't we, with sunshine
Yeah.
and the frost and the horses again. We keep mentioning these horses. We're gonna have to
Yeah,
mention. We're gonna have to do the horse
we'll come
story,
on
aren't
to the
we?
horses later.
Keeps people listening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's
I mean,
just
one,
not mention the horses. Just go all the way through it. Just say, we're gonna have to say that horse story. Then we get
And
to the
then they just
end.
end the
That's it.
podcast
See
going,
you
"What
later.
happened with the horses?"
Tune in
You have
next
to
week to
read my
find out
blog.
about
It's
the
all in my
horse.
blog.
one of the other things I noticed, Paul,
Mm,
was your use of colour.
mm,
Because I think at the very beginning, the video seems to be in black and white or almost black
yeah,
and white, and then gradually more colour sort of feeds in. And
yeah.
presumably that was your choice. There was that.
It was, yeah. I did it slightly differently initially, where I changed it for it to, like, I think it was red and green was the color, but it was kind of very muted, but it wasn't colorful, was it? That was the idea, because at the start of the video, it's not a happy time, is it? And it's
No.
you're you're fumbling your way through writing the song, and
Yeah.
um, and that just, to me, it lent itself to that black and white image, that,
Yeah.
Dorothy in Kansas image, rather
Yeah.
than Dorothy on the yellow brick road.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite bits in the video is actually the second piano riff that I play where I'm in my ballet shoes and I kind of hug. I don't know
Oh
if I
yeah,
hug my legs, and it
yeah,
was like it because of the colouring and because of how the piano is. It's almost like a film,
yeah,
like a dance movie or something where she is. And I always talk about myself. This is something I did in the filming day. I'd always
mm,
go, and she's doing this and she's doing that, and it's like, who is she? Well, she's me.
yeah,
but, but I talk about myself when I'm doing a music video. I'll talk about myself as if I'm a character, um, because it makes it easier to understand whether I'm talking about myself or whether I'm talking about the scene.
yeah,
Sort of
and the character.
separates
Mm.
the character from myself. But yeah, she's um, kind of going through a more vulnerable time, more sad time, and
Yeah,
even though the whole film is pretty sad and vulnerable,
it is.
but later on we do a lot more graceful shots where they're very uh, more expanded.
There are,
Yeah,
yeah,
the movements become more expansive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, did Gemma come to you with a sort of storyboard, or just,
yeah.
yeah,
Some ideas. I mean, this bit wants to be I wanted to find a grand piano. That was one of the problems we had, wasn't it? Where can we find a grand piano? There was bits that you wanted to be in the countryside, wasn't there? And some
Yeah.
nice, and so I found that place because it's a place where I walk the dog, which was really quite convenient for us. Yeah, and then we found the horses, but we'll talk about them later, perhaps.
Yeah, and then also we used the theatre as well, Theatre Deli,
Of
which
course, yeah,
I
Theatre Deli. You
sorted
got that
out,
one.
but that's not that venue is no longer.
No.
As in Theatre Deli doesn't use that venue anymore. So I feel really privileged that we got one of the last sort of uses of
Yeah,
the
and that
building.
lighting was gorgeous,
Yeah.
wasn't it? When she set up the lighting for us, that was
Yeah, and they were really helpful.
they were.
Just shout outs to Theatre Deli, and hopefully, people continue to support local theatres that are supporting artists,
Where is
because
it now? Theatre Deli. Has it
I
got
don't
a place?
actually know if they've got a venue at the moment. They might have got a new one. I know they're getting a new one.
They named it. I can't remember. It's not. I don't think it's far from where they were, but
Have they got another one?
I think so.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. But yeah, they really helped us with the lighting, and just really easy to use the space. We just got full range of what we
Yeah.
wanted to do, didn't we?
Completely happy with it, weren't
And
they?
did you not find it distracting to be dancing with a drone, sort of flying over you?
It kind of becomes part of the dance in a way when you're used to it. Once you get used to it, obviously at first it's a bit like,
Yeah, it's a noisy thing, isn't it?
but I'd actually danced before with a drone previously in another music video, so I knew the experience. So it wasn't a new experience for me. In terms of that, it wasn't a shock because I'd danced with a drone before. It was a shock when the drone went into the side of the theatre, like
Into the curtain.
curtain, and both me and the lighting lady thought that it had blown up. So we were just looking at the smoke and thinking, "Oh my gosh, we
It
ruined the
wasn't
theatre."
smoke. It was the dust off the
Oh, it was
curtain.
dust. We thought
Yeah.
it was smoke, but it was dust. It was fine. All was fine.
It was,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
You've got to expect to crash those drones.
Yes, we do. Yes. So for those who are listening, you'll be able to click on a link in the show notes to see the video. But I wonder whether we could just sort of review the story that the video tells. Can you describe it, Gemma?
Yeah.
Or Paul?
I think Gemma's just choking at the moment, so I'll.
Yeah.
It's funny actually because she's got a tear in her eye because she's coughing and choking and drinking at the moment, trying to
Yes.
alleviate the
Well,
what's
I put
happening.
myself on mute. I thought no one's going to see this because they can't see us. And then
But you had a tear in your eye when we were filming as well, weren't you?
It's all about how do we embarrass Gemma by making sure that everyone knows she's joking.
Well, I was coming on. I was going to come on to the scene where you're crying, and I was going to ask what Paul did to make you cry, but well,
Well, it was the wind.
It was the wind, wasn't it? Yeah, but I'll talk about the story of the video then.
Yeah.
So we start off as you mentioned in monochrome, which is the technical term for black and white, and we're in what's that place called? Upper Chapel, the humanitarian church, and it's a gorgeous building. Unitarian, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So Unitarian, and it's absolutely gorgeous building. If you ever get the chance, go in there because it's wonderful, and they've got a beautiful grand piano. So that's why we went there, to be honest. And Gemma's sitting at the piano trying to work out the song, basically in monochrome, and then we cut to a scene where she's on the stage at Theatre Deli, just holding her legs, ready to start dancing. Or, again, kind of, it's a thoughtful part of the video where she's not sure where she is, what she's doing, what she's got to do next. Everything's all a bit sad, and then we cut back to the piano, and then you kind of work out what you're going to do when you've made some notes and things like that, and then the music starts and we're in colour. That's right, isn't it? Can you continue the story because I can't remember the rest now?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, even though I've seen it
Yeah.
hundreds of, loads of times.
The-
But yeah, so we're in colour. So I love how you've used this Wizard of Oz metaphor. It's
mm,
really, really nice.
Mhm.
Um, so we also start to have some scenes of the nature. Am I right in
that's right.
saying?
Yes. Oh, and the
Um,
horse. We had the horse then, didn't we?
yes.
Uh,
So then that's when the horse comes in,
Mhm.
and some light is coming in through
yeah. Early
the
morning light.
yeah. So this
Um,
is kind
frosty
kind of
breath. Mm,
yeah, and it's a more comforting scene now rather than the sadness. There's sort of a connection, a softness when I'm stroking the horse, and um, yeah, I really like that moment. It's beautiful, which is why we keep going on about the horse. Not just that, but we'll get onto that later.
or not.
Or not. But
Secret horse.
yeah, so then across a river as well,
Oh yes, there's a little bit of water in
a
there
little
because
bit of
I
water,
I do
and
like a
then
reflection in
yeah,
my
and then
video.
water comes out of my eyes as well.
Yeah.
And I was saying, "Come on, get the tears right now.
Yes.
It's
Look,
there,
I've got
it's
real
there,
bloody tears here.
real tears." Um, but I must say, it usually is the wind that makes me cry.
Yeah.
Because I did another music video shoot the other day for another artist video. I was acting in it, and I was just walking across the canal, and the wind was like vroom, vroom in my eyes, and I just started crying. And
Mm.
again, and I was saying, if I'm outside in a music video, I'm probably going to be crying anyway because
It's a
it's
lovely shot
windy.
though, isn't it? That because I'm
Yeah,
very close up to you there, and it's almost your eye is filling the screen, eye, cheek, half a nose, and
yeah,
you've just got your tear coming down.
yeah. I will say it probably was a real tear as well because I think hearing the music sometimes makes me cry as well because it is emotional having
Yeah,
your own song.
and it's
You
personal
know.
as well.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
story. Mm.
yeah.
And then we have a bit of dancing, don't we, on the
Mhm.
stage,
Mhm.
which I flew around you with the drone, and I do like that shot as well, because
Yeah,
it's your dancing is very elegant and graceful, and I like to think that the drone sort of follows your movements, especially when you put your arm out and then the drone flies off in the direction you're pointing, kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that bit, and it was good
And
fun to do.
also, we wanted to get the sort of concept of being far away, but then coming in close,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was really, really nice.
And I did also put the camera at a distance away from you as well, the handheld camera on a tripod, just so I could get you absolutely perfectly symmetrical right in the middle of the stage around you. You can see the seats that we had to put the seats out, didn't we? But you look so lonely and isolated, just that little tiny thing on the stage with, you know, and
Yeah,
alone,
Mhm.
yeah,
bathed
and that
in single light.
yeah, and that was on purpose as well
Mm,
because the the next video we're gonna do, we're gonna have more people involved, but for this one, it was just like I really did feel alone when I was writing the song, and that there is a sense of loneliness behind it. That longing, really, really, it's my own longing for love, really, and perhaps my own fear of love as
yeah,
well. That or maybe what would it be like if I truly, was loved? And
I'm sure you
so
are.
oh, thank you. Well, I am in different ways. And I think sometimes it's about a perception, isn't it?
Yeah,
Our perception of the world. And, you know, sometimes we we only want love from a certain direction and actually it's coming from somewhere else
yeah,
and it's about being aware of where people are at with different um I don't know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying, but
yeah. I
um,
understand. Yeah.
yeah, so I think I sometimes I say this every time to Chris whenever he asks me, so how did you write that song then? And I'm like, no, no, don't ask me the story behind the song because I can't like and then I'm like, okay, how do I
Yeah.
it's, it's just because it's so personal sometimes when you're writing a song.
Mhm.
And I've said this on the last podcast as well. I do find I get embarrassed about why I write certain songs, because sometimes they come across as this big, wow, this must have been a proper love story or something massive that happened. And actually, it's just,
Yeah.
the reality of it is not necessarily as grand as the
No.
music.
No. Yep. Saw it on a film one day and I thought, oh, that's nice. I'll do something about that.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. Sometimes there is a tendency for artists to exaggerate feelings or
Yeah.
exaggerate, but
Can I
it's
give
based
you
on a real place. The feeling is real, but the situation itself may not be quite as dramatic.
a challenge then?
Yeah.
Write a song about the very hungry caterpillar.
Oh my god. I can't remember the story.
Well, he's very hungry. I think that's
Right.
basically it. Then in the end, he's a
Basically,
butterfly. Sorry,
Well,
spoilers.
you carry on and I'll search the hungry caterpillar.
yes. Certainly one of the things about storytelling is that sometimes you need to heighten emotion to convey the story. So it feels as if in the telling of the story, the emotion is more powerful than it actually was in real life. It,
Yeah.
it's I don't know that it's particularly misleading because it depends on the mode that you're telling the story in.
Yeah, and also you can tell a story. You can tell all the stories you want, but until it lands on someone's ears, then that's when it's interpreted, and it's interpreted with their own canvas, isn't it? It's not, you might say something. I had a lovely day today because it's nice weather, and then that could mean something completely different to someone else.
Mhm.
Although that probably doesn't. Thinking about it, oh, my day was awful. It was too hot, but then for someone else, gorgeous day.
So, have we finished the story of the video? We got into the dancing because we finish on the piano, don't?
We do.
Oh,
Yeah. And
I've lost
you
us
speak the
now.
last words, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes, so then it
Not
goes
enough.
back to the piano
Hmm.
and says not enough.
Yeah.
It is a sad song, mind. So
Mm.
even though we go from monochrome to colour, we don't get any Munchkins singing the Yellow Brick Road. We
It's
don't get that.
and it's quite
We
a
just,
washed colour, isn't it? It's not.
it is,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
bright.
But we kind of, because we're creating another music video as well, I think in a way with music videos, you don't have to have it be the end of the story, in the sense it can kind of carry itself on. Not that it's directly carrying itself on, but we are sort of taking a certain theme and sort of carrying it on in a sense.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I see this next video as being something completely different.
Yeah, it is completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
So
But
looking
what I
forward to
mean
that.
is that as a musician,
Yeah.
you don't have to have a song have a happy ending, because you can have a happy song after, is what I mean.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
mhm. Yes.
But carrying on similar themes, as in,
Mm,
what I mean is that the next song's also about that kind of heartbreak sort of thing, but then it takes it to a positive at the
yeah.
end.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think sometimes, particularly with songs, people can identify with the emotion uh, and sort of relive their own stories through that emotion, can't they?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
let's move on.
Have you looked at that very hungry
I've looked
caterpillar?
it up,
Uh,
Hungry Caterpillar, and I, I mean, this is like on the spot, so I don't know how this is going to be, but I was thinking you could do, because it says that the hungry caterpillar eats through increasing quantities of fruit for the following 5 days, Monday to Friday. It starts with an apple, then pear, then plums, then strawberries, then oranges. So I was thinking,
Eat some cake. Have a slice of cake at some point.
well, on Saturday he goes on a big feast and eats chocolate cake, strawberry ice cream cone, pickle, Swiss cheese, salami, lollipop. Well, this is going to be a long song. Cherry pie, sausage. But um, I was doing masterclass with Sarah J. Hawley, and she mentioned, because I was recently in a competition called Pattern and Push, and we had like master classes, and it was on songwriting, and she mentioned a list song, and I've never really wrote. Well, I did write the list song on the masterclass, but it's not
End of the
something
world
that I
as we know
really
it.
write a lot. You know, like so for example, a list song would
The
be
end
like
of the world as we know it, REM. And we didn't start the fire. Is that Billy Joel?
the one I can think of is got my hair, got my hand, got my
Oh yes, Nina Simone. Yeah,
I think there's one in every Gilbert and Sullivan opera that
yeah.
they ever
Yeah.
wrote. Yeah.
So I'm thinking you could do something like that, like the very hungry caterpillar.
I am the very model of a modern Major General. Is it?
I
And
am
so
the very
then, like
model of a
on
very hungry
Monday,
caterpillar.
so something like on a Monday he eats apple, on a Tuesday he eats pear, on a Wednesday he eats plum, on a Thursday he eats strawberries, on a Friday he eats oranges. Like, do you know what I mean? And then he eats a chocolate cake, strawberry ice cream cone, like, and just
Yeah.
like list it, and then like, but it could get bigger and have like each one like a choir joins in by the end,
Oh yeah.
and it's like builds it up, and then
He
the
gets
next day on a Sunday he
stomachache.
recovers by eating one. Yeah, he gets stomachache before, and he recovers by eating, and then it could go one green leaf. Finish. There we go.
Smart. I don't know where we got there. I don't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well,
Yeah, but
I'll be
it added
fascinated to
some.
see how Paul films this, but
Well, I can see it's gonna. I mean, the stomach ache. It's gonna go to monochrome, isn't it? Because that's quite a sad time. You
Are
don't
you
want
actually
stomach
doing
ache.
a film on Hungry Caterpillar? Is that what you
If you're
asked?
gonna do a song, yes, I will.
Oh no, I wasn't. I don't think it would actually be that good.
Surely you could dress up in a caterpillar's suit.
Maybe. Is this? What's this for? Like kids?
The book is, but you know,
no.
we can
This is
spin
going
it
to
somehow.
be. Uh,
What made you think of Hungry Caterpillar? That's what I'm saying.
It was just like you was talking about what you can, you know, what you write songs about, and
Oh,
you get
okay.
your ideas from all over the place. And
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
right.
suggested the very hungry caterpillar.
Anyway, let us return to the video in hand. We shall all
This
look
is going to be
forward.
edited out,
We,
isn't it?
No, I like it. Even
we'll
though I
all,
know it's not the best song ever, but
we're all looking for. Well, the Hungry Caterpillar song is definitely going to be a hit.
on my next my next EP.
Yeah, I think we've talked a bit about the venues. I mean, there were three main ones. There was the Upper Chapel,
Hmm.
the Theatre Deli, and then
Moss Valley
the
Woods.
open countryside.
Yeah.
And I think certainly one of the things that struck me is that the Upper Chapel you actually start in the roof, and
Mm.
presumably was that a drone that flew
No, it
down.
wasn't. I was. That wasn't a drone that flew down on that one. I was standing up in the. They've got a balcony.
Mhm.
I did fly drone inside, but I wasn't happy with the footage, so I didn't use it.
So, but you did sort of somehow descend. So
Yeah.
you've got a vertical space there, and
Yep.
then with the Theatre Deli, you've got a horizontal space.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like to have depth because it is two dimensional. Whatever you film, it's got to be two dimensional unless you've got a fancy camera that does 3D, like Avatar and that. But I haven't. So you do things like you hide behind a piece of tree or something like that, and then you slowly come out. So you've got that depth there. So yeah, you do film from far away, especially initially because it establishes the place, and then yeah, you come closer afterwards. Especially if you want to get personal, like if you're crying tears, then you need to be really close then.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's all to create that feeling using images.
Mhm. Yeah. So well, presumably, yeah, you chose the Upper Chapel because it had a grand piano.
Yeah, and then we saw the place, and it was just like, let's film the whole place because it's lovely.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, my father used to uh, go there. It was his church for several
So
years.
you've been there then, have you?
I have preached there as well.
Have you?
Yeah,
It's great, isn't it?
yeah. Yes, it was. It's always amused me. It was supposed to be a sort of different radical sort of church, and yet they had the full dressed choir at the time. When I don't know what it's like now, but it was all very formal and very
We
church like.
we didn't see a service,
No,
but
I don't know what
I think they have concerts on there as well. So I think you can
I
actually
think so.
go as
Well,
a.
it's actually one of the oldest churches in the city.
Is it?
Yeah, it's older than the cathedral. Either
It is
cathedral.
gorgeous. And then if you just go to some of the rooms behind, the corridors are all tiled beautifully. There's that gorgeous spiral staircase that we filmed at. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
yeah,
there's
there's
the
loads there.
Denning Hall, is it, or Dunning Hall, something like that? Yeah. So you had two lovely venues. I mean, the Theatre Delhi. Well, in some ways, it was harder to see the Theatre Delhi venue because it was darker, but
Yeah,
it looked almost factory like. So it was actually quite a contrast.
yeah, it was. Yeah, and it's supposed. We wanted it to look like a theatre, and we wanted it to look empty. So it was just
Yeah.
perfect.
And then the outdoor scenes, although they were outdoor, it still feels fairly constrained.
Yes, because I
A
was
lot of
filming very close up then.
close-ups.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, um,
but we had beautiful light as well. The the a morning light is just wonderful, especially in December where you've got low sun for a long time.
mhm,
You just the golden hour it's called.
mhm.
It was brilliant, and it was a great day for it,
So, uh,
except the horses.
Are we
which
going to get to the horses
we will get to the
now?
horses later. But before that,
Are you joking? How long is this podcast?
well, we're nearly
Currently
there.
45 minutes. Of,
I wanted to ask about the dancing, and um, I struggle a lot with dancing because I find it very
Mm,
difficult to see the stories in movement. But presumably, you designed that dance to go with the song, but you're expressing the emotion of the song through the dance.
yeah. Yeah, so I choreographed the dance um, before we filmed it,
Hmm.
and then I wasn't sure what I was going to do actually. I had a little bit of insecurity before, just thinking, oh, I've not choreographed in a while and not quite sure how, I was thinking I had to be a ballerina, kind of like, I did do ballet, like I'm trained in ballet, but I knew it needed to maybe just be more expressive, just more true to, it didn't have to be sort of perfect ballerina thing, but it was more about the emotion behind it. And I just found myself telling the story by, first of all, this first bit is putting on the ballet shoes.
mm,
And it sounds simple, but, you know, just to add that to the choreography, it adds a different dimension. It's showing that human side of the dancer rather than just the dance itself, because sometimes we see these images of dancers and they're doing beautiful movements, but when they're putting on the shoes, that's just quite a human moment, you know and then that curled up kind of movement as well, just showing that vulnerability. And then the next movements are kind of like, I used a lot of kind of reaching. I'm showing it, but you can't see it. Not that it looks like it, but reaching up and um like a kind of back bend move, and then not like a back bend, but reaching up. Yeah, kind of. It's
mm,
hard to explain without showing, but and then almost like I suppose I was inspired a bit by um you know in Black Swan, where they have quite close up, because she's not actually, I don't think Natalie Portman's actually the dancer in it. I think they kind of switch it between, this is all me dancing in this, by the way. We didn't have a double. um but
I
but
thought it
anyway,
was Paul.
Not in this one. In the next
Oh
one.
my god, that would be fun. To just switch it up. And but anyways, like I said, it's not a ballet piece, but I think I was inspired by those scenes in, because I was thinking about obviously dance for film rather than dance for stage. And I know there's quite a lot of close-up shots where she's kind of being a swan, being a, and I kind of, I suppose I use that sort of movement of being like a bird. It kind of has that same effect, and the closer up shots in that way, and just the elegance of it, of the way she's composing herself. She's trying to get it perfect, and I think that was what I was also expressing through it, because it is that perfectionism with the piano at the beginning where, oh no, it's going all wrong. And the same with the dance. It's like, hold yourself together, keep it composed. And that can be both beautiful and also painful, that perfectionism of wanting things to
Yeah,
look a
because
certain way.
on stage, when you watch a dancer, you get emotion, but you get the emotion of the dance. But when you get close up and film close up, you get the emotion of the dancer trying to create the emotion of the dance.
Yes.
And then that makes it more personal, because that is, as you were saying, it's like it's a filmed dancer, not a filmed dance. And then that was the same when I shot from behind you as well. So it's the view from the stage at the audience, which turned out there was nobody there, which makes it even sadder, doesn't it? Really, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by doing the close-ups, by doing the swooping around you, and then switching it behind you, I think we created something that was emotional and strong and passionate, I suppose, and sad as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
which is what the song was really.
Yeah. So, how did you find it, Chris, from a viewer's perspective? What was your sort of first impression? And then maybe on a second watch, what did you notice?
Yeah, well, each time I watch it, I notice more detail, and yeah, one of the questions that came to my mind when I was watching it was, um, it seems to me to be very well edited, and was it? Did you just sort of leave it to Paul to edit it, or did you sort of sit behind him and say, "No, put that bit there," or I mean,
I was quite precise with the editing,
So
actually.
I created something first of all, and then we had a lot of toing and froing, didn't we? Get rid of
Yeah,
that bit,
yeah,
put that bit in there, change that.
yeah. I'm quite, when it comes to creativity and vision, I suppose I'm quite. I don't want to use the word controlling because that sounds bad.
No,
What's the word?
it's you.
Precise.
It's yeah, precise, I suppose, but it's you, isn't it? This is your
Yeah,
face. It's your job, effectively. So you want yourself to look as good as possible. So
yeah,
we have to have the best shots in there, and I might not
yeah,
see the best shots.
yeah.
yeah. And it's working together to get the right shots in the right place, and
Mm,
that can take time sometimes, because um it's just as well. So for example, like Paul might be looking at it from more of a visual perspective, but I might be looking at it from more of a musical perspective, in the sense of how the visuals match the music and telling the story through the music. So I suppose it's a different perspective, because Paul might think, oh, that bit looks really good, and put it in, but then I might be like, well, it doesn't go with the song on that bit or the story on that bit. Do
yeah,
you see what I mean?
Yes, yes. I think I did see a few. I think Paul put up a few of the raw material, certainly the outdoor
yeah.
material. So, and I think when I first saw the video, I thought, oh, they've taken a lot of that out.
Mm,
But yeah,
Well,
but
we didn't take it out, we just didn't put it in.
yeah, yeah.
okay,
Right.
well, yeah, yes, depending on how you look at it. But I think one of the things, I did notice, for example, close to the beginning, where you go from the piano shot to putting on the ballet shoes, and that seemed to me to be quite a meaningful cut. Um,
Yeah,
And it came over, well, to me, as a total unprofessional who hasn't got a clue what's going on most of the time. It did seem to me it looked really sort of professional um, and well thought through, and clearly it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
So you didn't come to blows over
Oh
which bit
no,
went where then?
we worked well
No,
together.
Yeah.
we
No,
work
no,
really
no,
well.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I'm really like pleased as well because even just having this conversation means a lot to me because for so long this is something that I've wanted to manifest, as we call, sometimes we get manifestation. Well, we had Manifestation Maven on the podcast, and uh, I don't know what episode it was, but if you look back on the
A long time
podcast,
ago.
you can see we've interviewed coaches
Hmm.
on manifesting, and um I'm going off on a tangent, but as in when I have something in my mind that I want to bring into form, into being, into like for
Mm.
example, filming a music video, or creating a song, it that I've been through a lot of setbacks when it comes to my own doubts, my own insecurities, my own, finding the right people can be tough sometimes to get your vision across. And it just so happened that Chris mentioned Paul. I think I'd met Paul
Yeah,
at
Ireland.
Island Networkers,
Mm.
and then I think we just exchanged contacts, but I'd not really thought for I'd not really like considered him for this music video. But then when Chris said, "Oh, Paul might be able to do it," and I said, "Oh, does he do music videos?" And then he said, "Well, yeah, he can pretty much do anything with the drones and
Yeah,
anything you like." So then I just got in touch with him and thought, well, it doesn't matter if you can't do it. It's just sometimes you've got to ask. And I
yeah,
think this is my lesson a lot is when you want something, you can vision it all you like in your head, but if you don't ask, you don't get.
yeah.
So sometimes it's just about reaching out, and
And
then sometimes it's just the right fit. And I think that's what it was for this project, and hopefully the next one as well.
yeah,
So
I
it's
mean, so long
just
as you've got big enough memory cards, you can film it and delete it, or film it and save it and use it or not. I've got hours of footage of you.
yeah. Oh
Well,
gosh.
moving on to the star of the video now,
Oh,
and the
Was.
and piano.
well, the reason I left it towards the end is because I think whilst clearly the horse is the star of the video, and anybody seeing it will instantly see
I have
that.
to say, there was more than one horse. There was about 10 horses.
Yes,
Yes.
so I gathered, but yeah, you do actually see about three, I think, in
Hmm.
one shot. But
So
the
They were
point I
very
wanted to
nosy.
the point I wanted to make is it was a found thing. It wasn't something
Yeah,
that
it was
was. I mean,
serendipitous.
Gemma
Yeah,
didn't come to you and say, "Oh, and then can you provide a horse?"
no, no.
That was. But you both, I mean, how did the horse get into the video? What
Well,
what made you?
we have to walk through a field of horses to get to the woods where we were filming. And I said to Gemma, "Oh, there might be horses in this field. There has been the past few times I've been down." And sure enough, there was horses there. So we were walking through the horsey field, and they were all just really interested in us. They were all coming up to us, and like we had bags, and I was carrying loads of stuff because I had all the film gear with me. And Gemma just said, "Oh, we could do a bit with the horses, do a bit of filming with the horses." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." These are big animals. They've got really big heads and that. They've got massive teeth and big feet. They're quite scary things, aren't they? Horses. So yeah. So we put all the stuff down. You've put your makeup bag down, and I put all the film, all my boxes of drones and everything else down on the floor. And I was kneeling down in in mud and horse poo and filming you upwards to get the sunlight behind you as you're cuddling with this massive dangerous animal.
And then
And then, yeah, one of the other horses got a bit interested in our stuff, stood on my drawn box, and then smashed your mirror in your makeup bag, didn't it?
yeah, and also my cream coat as
Yeah,
well.
stood on your coat.
My
Yeah,
dry clean coat.
yeah,
So I had to get that dry cleaned.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's really interesting as well because I'll just add. So I let Paul tell that story because I wanted to see the difference. So sometimes Chris will say when he's getting, because Chris helps people to find their story. So Chris worked with me on some coaching for a couple of my stories a while back, and one of the things that he says when he's coaching people is try it from another person's perspective.
Uh-huh.
So try writing the story from another person's perspective. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I've wrote a blog where I tell that exact same story, but I'm telling it from my perspective.
Mm.
So I thought, well, I'll let you tell it on the podcast so I can hear it from your perspective. And it's interesting, the differences, because obviously I'm not going to tell it like about the mud, you kneeling on the mud and the scary horse up above, because that's not where I'm at, because I'm with the horse.
Yeah, you are, yeah.
Get me? So
having a daft laugh with the horse. Just chatting on.
Yeah, but
yeah,
so
what inspired you, Jemma, to suddenly think, oh, what we need in this video is a horse, after all?
So, well, this is the way I've wrote it. So this is why it's interesting how the same story can be remembered in different ways and from different. Neither's right or wrong, because, well, there's probably a right, but we just can't remember. We'll never know because we didn't film it. If we'd filmed it, if somebody else was there filming it, then
doing
we'd
a
know.
making of. Yeah.
We'd know, well, this is exactly what she said, or this is exactly how it happened. But obviously, it's perspective anyway, so it's neither right or wrong. It's just perspective. But mine goes, as we're walking into the fields, a group of horses close in on us. There's so many of them, it's hard to even count. I start to feel a bit nervous and yet curious. Perhaps they have come to help us with these shots, I ponder.
I remember you saying that now. Yes, this is it's foretold. This is serendipity.
Yes.
We should use this.
Yes. So that is where my mind was, Chris. So basically I'm just seeing these horses and I'm thinking it's serendipity. It's they've come to be part of the music video, and obviously I know I'm not, I know I'm not stupid. I know horses aren't literally like they're doing a video, let's be a part of it. But I just mean in a sort of, I don't know, I believe in sort of mystical things things coming together to create something magical, and even if the horses weren't that I don't know, they seem bothered. They seem to want to be a part of whatever we were doing.
Friendly with you. Yeah.
They were friendly, yeah. I don't know. It's just where my mind goes, and it might be wrong, but no, it's not wrong or right. Again, it's perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I tend to make things. I like to see meaning in things, so I don't like, I know that you can just see it as, oh, it's just some horses, and I've decided to put them in the music video. But I think when you kind of think of the journey that I've been through in terms of, if you were filming a film about me creating the song, or me going on the journey of wanting to get this into a music video, that would be a moment in the film, if it was from my perspective, that is, where it would be like, oh wow, she's things are coming together, like, so I guess
but this is essential to the creative process, isn't it? That it's not just the stuff that's going on in your head. It's also what happens when you try to get that stuff out into the world, because the world, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not quite resists. It's the world interacts with those thoughts, and create something different. So the
Yes, and
world
you can even
changes, but the idea changes as well.
yes, and you can go with that, or
Yes.
you can go against. And I think we just went with it on that day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always worth shooting, isn't it?
What the
If you've
horse?
got something that looks good. Yeah.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah. I'll shoot anything. Yeah. Children, horses, people. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Everything.
it is a challenge. It's a challenge if it. I mean, the horses didn't interfere with anything that, in terms of, yeah, they made it difficult for us to get past, but they weren't. It's not like something that's interfering with the vision. If if you get it, it's fine. If you don't,
Well, you could
it's
have just
fine.
walked through the field and ignored the horses and
We
Yeah.
could have,
yeah.
and I think this is the thing with creativity. I think when you have a creative mind, you can see possibilities in different things. Now, you could argue that, you know, you don't want to be doing that all the time, because obviously you'd be going to every single thing and filming it, and actually it might not be relevant to the film.
It
So
looked
it's,
good though, didn't it?
but it
At the
looked good.
time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's discerning what, when you get an idea popping because of the environment, it's discerning what's going to look good within the whole.
Just film it anyway, and if you don't want it, delete it later.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, if you don't
Yes.
want to be spending hours and hours, but then you do, because that's what you like doing. So,
Yes. You
which is
can
good
you
for
can
me
see
as
it
well.
afterwards. You can see it afterwards if
Yeah,
it's worth putting in or if it's not worth putting in. But we've got some lovely lens flare on that with that sunshine, and then when I
yeah,
just moved from one side to the other side and just getting
it was
the flash of light with
perfect.
the horses.
It
Yeah.
was perfect.
Mm.
Like, when I saw it, I just thought, well, that's just, it's serendipity moment,
Yeah.
definitely. That
Yeah.
was confirmed when I saw it as
Yeah.
well, because you could think, when you're having it filmed, you could think, yeah, it's serendipity and everything, but then you could look back on it and go, actually, that didn't really work. But that wasn't the case. It did work. Yeah.
So, just same question to both of you to round off this conversation. What would you, starting with Gemma, what would you say is the one thing that you took away from this exercise that you weren't expecting? I mean, you were expecting a video, so you're not allowed to say the video. But what one thing that you took away, and it maybe something you learned as opposed to the video itself.
I think I learned to trust somebody else with my video. Yeah,
Is it your video
yeah,
or your vision?
both,
Mm.
because I think it's when you've written a song, it's hard to give it up to the wider world, because then everybody else starts to be involved with it,
Hmm.
as in they're listening to it or they're creating around it. And I think when you have a vulnerable song, it's even harder. If I wrote a song about a caterpillar, maybe wouldn't matter so much.
I'm looking
But
forward to that one.
but yeah, I think this is just a lesson in general for me. I think learning to trust other people, with that they'll take care of, that they'll respect, because maybe sometimes I found it difficult to um hand over my work for other people to collaborate. I mean, only with music. That with other things, I do this quite easily. I collaborate all the time, pretty much. As you probably know, Chris, I'm always working with so and so and so and so, and all the time. It's just been a little bit more challenging with the music, just because of the personal aspect to it. Yeah.
And how about you, Paul? What's one thing you've taken away from this exercise?
Um, I think it's a bit more. It's less general than Gemma was saying, but I like the way that Gemma is not scared. She'll just do it. 'Cause I said I'm going to fly a drone around you. It's going to get close. I will try not to hit you. And I didn't hit you, so that's good. But yeah, and if you watch the video, it does go very close. There's no flinching at all. She's completely professional, and that's it. It's professional. It's just not. It's not like not being scared. It's just professionality, professionalness, being professional. I'll get the right words in the end. This is it. I do video, you see, so I can make mistakes over and over again, and then I just cut those ones out that are
Yeah.
rubbish.
Okay, so Paul, if
Mm,
people listening to this would like to find out more about your work,
yeah.
how do you go about it? Obviously,
Oh,
we can put links into the show
yeah.
notes.
Well, my company's Hovaloft Limited, and but everyone gets it spelt wrong, so it's Hovaloft, Hov and a loft. You see, it's all about hovering and being aloft. It's nothing to do with loft renovations or anything like that. And yeah, a lot of my stuff is on YouTube. In fact, everything just about that I do that's not like bought by someone else, I'll put on YouTube. Yeah. So find me on YouTube and just look for Paul Stinson on YouTube, and
Well,
you'll see thousands of videos that I've got on there.
we'll put
Some of Gemma,
a
some
link
of
in the
others.
show notes for
Yeah.
that. And yes, and there's some fantastic videos of panoramas of the city of Sheffield.
Are those the ones you like?
Well, the ones I've
'Cause,
seen.
yeah, my most popular one is a video of a reservoir near Osmotherley in North Yorkshire. And this is a place I used to go as a child. So you used to swim in that reservoir, although you're not allowed to now. There's signs up everywhere. But I used to swim across it on my birthday, in fact. So yeah, I've filmed there, and I think there's a lot of people from Northallerton who've seen that video or have, do a little search for it because they want to relive what they did as a child. And that's a nice video because there's a dog that jumps in as well on that one and swims
Well,
back.
if you want to send me the link, I can put that in the show
I
notes
can
as
do,
well.
yeah, but that's my most popular one. But I wouldn't say it's my best one. I prefer the FPV drone stuff, the Cinewoop stuff, because that's good fun, and I relive my filming of it.
And Gemma, I understand you've been terribly busy recently.
Yeah.
Anything new on the horizon?
Well, we're creating this music video, so that's going to be my focus for the next 2 weeks.
Filming on
Um,
Sunday.
yeah, so that should. I mean, I don't know whether it'll be out by the time this podcast is out, but definitely check my YouTube and my Facebook pages for updates. Probably be taking some behind the scenes shots and things like that. So, yeah, you can find me on Jemma Rosenthal, Facebook, YouTube, and also Creative Hearts on creative. Well, sometimes it's under creativehearts.coach on Instagram and Facebook as well. I'm on Instagram, Jemma Rosenthal as well. I know I don't have to spell it out on this one. You were saying about the spelling out, but I realised because I was on Radio Sheffield the other day and they were playing Afraid of Love. And I realised, well, they asked me about the podcast. So I gave them the podcast links, but I didn't say how to spell my name because I'm thinking, well, if you hear Jemma Rosenthal, someone might put a G and it's with a J. And then often people don't know how to spell Rosenthal. But then we found out that even if you put it with a G, I think it comes up on Google anyway because it's such an uncommon name. So Jemma with a J comes up and you can tell that I'm a singer and everything. So I think it's fine. But yeah, I just realised that I didn't even say like how to spell my name or anything. I don't know if I need to, but what's your opinion on that?
Well, you don't need to spell it on the podcast because it's in the show notes anyway. So
Yeah.
it'll be
Oh,
okay.
listen to the song as well. We're gonna play the song now, but you can also listen to it again. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and other music that I've recorded as well. And the new song will be out as well soon. So that me and Paul are collaborating on the music video for.
Yes, so we're all going to say goodbye, and then Jemma is going to play us out with Afraid of Love. So it's goodbye from Paul.
Yep, goodbye. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm from Jemma.
Thank you. Bye.
And from me, Chris Sissons.
How do I open up if every note is not enough? And how do I make a sound if every word is not allowed? I think you're afraid of love. I think you're afraid of what could be us, and I don't know which is worse. Never knowing or just giving up. How did I lose it all? Felt like nothing made me feel so small. And it hurts to watch you leave, but I'd rather lose this than lose me. I think you're afraid of love. I think you're afraid of what could be us, and I don't know which is worse. Never knowing or just giving up. So I let you go. So I let you go. So I let you go. I let you go. How do I open up if every note is not enough?